Well, I can't stop there because, I was just pointing out the root of the problem. The root of the problem, again, is with the Federal Reservists. These are the people that own the money printing rights, the copyright. Okay, so it isn't the politicians that are the most powerful. It is, but in a sense, they're working in collaboration, okay, with each other because the government is needed. These top politicians, highfalutin politicians out there that are validating what these people are doing, okay? In fact, they are an integral part of what's going on with the economy and how this wealth and income disparity has happened. But the money printers and these top politicians, this is the root of the problem. They're causing the problems and they don't care. They keep kicking the can down the road and giving themselves raises. They're in cahoots with the market manipulators. They're in with one of those special interest groups. They make money off the stock market that's, been largely based on crony capitalism. We got Jerome Corsi talking about Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and how they've been ripping off investors to pay for Obamacare. All this kind of stuff. Look, the whole thing is evil. Okay, the Federal Reservists working with the government, these highfalutin politicians validating and legitimizing what they do, is the root of the problem. And it's very difficult to get at the root of the problem because these are very powerful forces. They control everything. They write the paychecks for the military. They write the paychecks. It's all their money printing, whether it's digital or otherwise. It doesn't matter. It's still measured in dollars, right? Bitcoin measured in dollars. Everything's measured in dollars. Gold is measured in dollars. Oil in dollars, right? Everything's dollars, dollars, dollars. Okay, all over the world. I mean, you could use this measurement, dollars, right? So, okay, this is the situation, and it's very tough. I mean, we do need God's help, and it's going to happen. Okay, and the science behind it is that education and information are one and the same, and knowledge and wisdom. It's all part and parcel. It's all the same animal, and it keeps growing and growing and growing. So this is where the positivism comes in, knowing that we don't have to fret. We do worry, we do fret, we do get scared, but we need not because the science is behind us. The logic and the math and the knowledge and education and the wisdom and truth all tells us the good guy is eventually going to win this thing. But we need the final big win. We're not just looking for a temporary thing. What we got to look for is the big win. And that means that God's will takes over. Okay, that God has recaptured the earth. And that's what we need. That's what we need to be looking for. And that when that day comes, there's not going to be this thing we call money. There's going to be no need for it when everything is free. And anybody that doesn't want to live in a world like that, where you couldn't handle living in a world without money, you just can't imagine it. It just seems beyond your imagination. It's not. I'm telling you for sure, I know it's not beyond anybody's imagination. Just imagine everything is free. And people keep doing their jobs because they're important. And many hands make light work. And if people were all doing useful jobs instead of jobs that revolve around perpetuating and maintaining the problems in society, like I pointed out, the vast majority of jobs depend on the problem persisting. And the most important problem, the premier problem they've got to maintain is poverty. Extreme poverty. They need people in fear, mortal fear of dying. This is how they get their mortgages and their rents. Okay, this is how they do it. This is how it causes this snowball effect, this chain reaction, this domino effect of inflation across the board, where services have to go up. It's a given. How can they not? I'm just against perpetual pay raises. People say, oh, well, we can't give minimum wage raises like this because that would cause inflation. Wait a minute. We're going to argue chicken and egg here. We know what came first. Your cost of living went up. That's a justification for a cost of living adjustment. And if you don't get a cost of living adjustment and your cost of living went up, then you just got to pay decrease. Okay, whatever amount the cost of living is going up and you're not getting a commensurate, proportional, equivalent pay adjustment, cost of living adjustment, then your pay went down. So yes, I'm such a bad person because I'm against giving perpetual pay decreases and lowering our standard of living into oblivion. And this is good. These are the people paying the national debt. They got to die out on the streets. Okay, I mean, this is sick, man. I want no part of it. God help us. And when I say God help us, I mean it with the utmost of sincerity. God help us all, because we're messed up creatures, man. We're a messed up species. And we gotta, anybody out there that's still in denial, because obviously you can see I'm not in denial. I know it. I know it. And I hate it. This is why I see the enticement. You know, I can understand why people want to just, look after old number one, but that's buying into the program. That's getting on the bandwagon. I don't care about. That's why I'm not particularly ambitious. Yes, I want to contribute a lot. I'm a designer. I've got a lot to give humanity, and I want to. But I don't want to dink around worrying about investors and paying this and paying that and getting patents and all this crap, man. It's not my bag. And I don't even care about the money, the riches. I just want to contribute. I just want my peers to say, wow, thank God, this guy came up with this tool. This kind of thing. This has made my life so much easier. I wouldn't ever been able to even do this job without this tool. I wouldn't have even thought about doing it. You understand? This is what I want to offer humanity. I've got good things to give. But in the atmosphere, in this air of oppression that's been shoved down my throat, I don't like it, man. I don't know the solution. It's not an easy solution. But I know that being poor is not bad. I mean, this is what we've been trained to believe, that somehow you're a loser. You just must be lazy or on drugs or something's wrong. You had a bad upbringing. You red diaper doper baby, like Michael Savage, is one of his quotes, right? And I was listening to Michael Savage back in probably 2003, okay? And he never alluded to knowing that 9/11 was an inside job. I don't know where he's at now. I think he's come around. But it was Alex Jones. It wasn't until in 2006 when I had a friend that I listened to Alex Jones with, and so I got hooked on Alex Jones and InfoWars from there on out, about 2006, so about 11 years ago. And, since then, he's been my number one source for accurate news. And I've really gleaned a lot over the years. And I've really come out of this thing more and more about, my own personal stupor. So it's important that we all really know the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. As shocking as it is to think a small cadre of evildoers within the government, whoever, you see, it's a very subjective term. The government, bureaucrats, politicians, quasi-governmental agencies, all this kind of crap. Okay, who did it? It doesn't matter. But these were black hats in high places that had access to the towers, to Building 7, and that did this thing. This is what not just I'm saying, pulling out of my behind, but this is what over a group of over 2,200 architects and engineers growing every day, this is what they say. This is what the professionals say at Underwriters Laboratory. This is what they say. The official story is preposterous. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. Get that through your brain and understand that it's all true. These are the kind of people that are ruling over us to this day. These are the kind of things they're willing to do to keep their position and place of power in this world. These are the Satanists. Whether they know it or not or admit it, it's just that spirit thereof. These are really bad guys. Very, very black hats. Murderous criminals. Liars, cheaters, thieves, deceivers, you name it, they're it. Okay, if it's bad, it's them. Abandonment of conscience and integrity, honor, all that nonsense, that's all it is to them. Their God is Lucifer, okay, and they think he's better and stronger, and that's it. They're just decided for whatever reason to be on that side. They've been deceived. They're going to hell. I mean, I don't know. God's gonna he's gonna weed it all out. He's gonna sort it all out. It's all gonna come out in the wash here. But just know that's a positive thing for the upright and decent among us. But it's not so good for the others. All I know is that we want our own hearts to be as pure as possible in this corrupt world. We want our hearts to be, and check in every day with God. Say, invite the Spirit of truth into our lives to convict us and help us be better people and to just be nice people. I mean, nice guys rate high in my book. That's why I can disagree with people a lot of stuff. He's really blind in this area, or he's deceived, or he's evil, or he's an idiot. But I've still got to be loving and reach out to that person and try to convince them in my own subtle, tactful, divinely tactful way that I've tapped into the resource of God himself, the Spirit of truth. We can all do that. We should do that. We're encouraged to do that. This is the best thing we can do, is turn to God for advice and counsel. The Holy Spirit of truth is called the counselor, the encourager, the comforter. All these things. We've got to tap into that and have something to offer other people that makes sense, that's logical, that can convince them that their thinking is wrong and this is how it could be. Wages could go down. I don't have to be obsessed with minimum wage. I think it's disgusting what's happened, how the standard of living has dropped so dramatically over the years. I mean, what you could live on a minimum wage and you had dignity, and your wife could stay home and be a homekeeper. You could be a homeowner. You could support the whole family with dignity on a minimum wage job. Look at how far we've fallen. How far are we from that now? When a bus driver in San Francisco making over $100,000 a year can't afford to own a home, where people with PhDs and Harvard degrees and master's degrees, they can't afford to be homeowners anymore, especially in parts of California. That's the reality here, folks. And there's not enough jobs for all the educated ones out there. There's not enough jobs for everybody that wants to be this or that or the next thing. So what's the answer? We don't need to work a 40-hour work week. Duh. I mean, maybe all you're going to get is 5 hours of doing what you love to do a week. Whatever it is. This is madness to believe we can't figure this out and extricate ourselves and get it together and go the other direction. We got to go the other direction and use true capitalism as a means to an end. That's supply and demand. That's Adam Smith. That's free market. That's competition. And with the idea that, look, as you become free, set others free. Whatever services or commodities you have control of, or whatever combination thereof, because that's the case for a lot of people. Then you have to say, look, my cost of living is dropping. This guy just, reduced the tax on me, the burden on me, so I've got to pay it forward. I've got to do it for somebody else. And you see that spiraling, that mushroom effect, that snowball effect, that domino effect, that chain reaction in the other direction. That's what we're looking for. And that's the light at the end of the tunnel. That's setting the captives free. That's setting you free, me free, our children free, all of us free, is to know that a world without money is the desire of our divine parents, God Almighty, the Creator, our owner, because that's reasonable, that's logical. That's why a good parent is good, because it's an instinct to be a good parent, to love your children and care about them and want nothing but the best for them. Okay? And that means being absolutely free. That means being off money. So when I hear people in high media positions like Alex Jones or Max Kaiser, I really love this guy. I mean, I love anybody that I believe is a righteous dude, okay, an egalitarian. That's what I believe. So I can have different opinion about how to get, from point A to point Z where we want to be at point Z, and I can have disagreements. But if we ever start moving in that direction as a collective society, they're on board. They're down. They're already down. This is why they're passionate. They're righteous. They're upstanding. They're good and decent people, okay, that want the best. And though I can disagree here and there, it doesn't matter, because sometimes maybe I could be wrong. I mean, it's not beyond the pale. And, we're all susceptible to being deceived. It's why I like to point out this whole economic thing is a two-way street. So wages could go down if your cost of living is falling. Yeah, that's part of that chain reaction in reverse, is that everything can start going down as everybody's cost of living goes down. But you can't expect the cost for services, that is the cost for wages for the workers, to go down first. That's not the way it works, but that's the way it's been working for many decades. Ever since the assassination of JFK, then we had Nixon taking us off the gold standard, and Max Kaiser pointing out that minimum wage would be $60-something an hour now if it was based on the buying power, minimum wage had in gold 50 years ago or whatever it was, as it does now, which is all, that's math, and that's nothing anybody can refute or argue. That's the truth. So there's no arguing the fact that minimum wage has dropped sorely, absurdly, beyond what it used to be. And that's not anybody that condones that. I think that's evil. And you've got to check yourself. You've got to say, God, am I right about this? Remember Moses. Remember how this is what pissed him off. It's okay to have slaves. That's a servant. Okay. But treat them right. Okay. Look, if you're going to employ someone on minimum wage, at least give them housing. That's even what the farm workers used to get. Remember how they were derogatorily called wetback shacks, right? How many people haven't heard that term? I have. So at least these farmers were providing their workers with housing, okay? And they probably had, yes, it's a step up from slavery. Good. Let's take steps. I'm not into buying and selling human beings. That's disgusting. And you want to beat your slave? You masochist, not a masochist, but you're a sicko. Whatever. A masochist, right, is somebody that hurts themselves. But I don't know. I forget the terminology. But Sadist, whatever. You want to hurt other people. Well, look, that's that. I don't. I'm not embracing that idea at all. All I'm saying is that we've got to be honest with ourselves and understand that the root of our problems is this: take your head out of the sand. Ignorance is not bliss. That's a big lie from the pit of hell. Okay, and the good guy's going to win. So get on the side of good. And just understand that this thing will come to a head eventually, but it's going to happen in God's time, and it's going to happen in His way, and He's going to use all the people He uses. And when He uses me, if He uses me in any small way, that's great. Just pass it along, pay it forward. Whatever knowledge, advice that is sound, that edifies, okay, properly, then you can take that and run. I don't give a crap about. Glory to God, okay, for all the good that I can do with my whole life. That's it. All I want to do is be a friend to God, and that's all He wants from us.